breeding opens up a ton of opportunities in the Pokemon series. You can use it to generate unlimited copies of most Pokemon, which has many use cases in competitive play and shiny hunting. So what's up fellas, I'm Matt, and today Elias and I are going to talk about how egg groups work in Pokemon, and how the game decides which ones belong to each group. We'll also go over the basics of breeding, as well as how these mechanics lead to some moves being impossible to obtain. Alright, let's get started.
What's up, I'm Elias, and in order for two Pokemon to breed, they need to meet two conditions. First off, they need to be opposite genders, and they need to have at least one egg group in common. Ditto bypasses both of these requirements, but we'll be talking about it a little later. There are 15 egg groups in the game, and each Pokemon can belong to one or two groups.
When two Pokemon breed and make an egg, the species typically matches the mother or her pre-evolution. That's going to be important later when we get to the impossible moves. Anyway, that means you can't get male-only Pokemon with standard breeding. If you want to breed a Pokemon like Tauros or Sock, you have to pair them with a Ditto instead. Whenever a Ditto is involved, the egg will match the other Pokemon species, or their pre-evolution if applicable. There are a few exceptions to this rule though.
Some male Pokemon have female counterparts. If you have the female-only Illumise breed with another Pokemon, then the egg can contain another Illumise or the male-only Volbeat. Female Nidoran can also produce eggs of either gender, so you can breed two Nidoran and potentially get a male baby. Gallade is also male-only, but its pre-evolution Ralts can be either gender, so you can get more male Ralts by having a female Gardevoir breed with a Gallade, or any other compatible Pokemon. Every other male-only Pokemon requires a Ditto to produce new offspring, if you want more of the same species. Today's candy of choice is Haichu.
Alright, let's take a look at all the egg groups and talk about which Pokemon belong to each one. There are 3 water groups for some reason, so let's start with those. First up, Water 1 is mostly made up of semi-aquatic and amphibious Pokemon. This is where you'll find many of the frog and toad Pokemon, like the Poliwag, Tympole, and Tadbulb lines. This group also includes Seabird-inspired Pokemon like Pelipper, Cramorant, and Kilowattrel, as well as most of the water-type starters.
Water 1 is one of the bigger egg groups, containing 114 Pokemon. Quite a few of them aren't even water-type, but they have something to do with water anyway. Dratini can be found in and around water, and you can catch it by fishing in certain places. So Dratini and its evolutions are part of this group too. Delibird and Ice-Cube are ice types, but they're inspired by penguins, which are aquatic birds. Inkay and Malamar are based on squids and, upside down squid, and Graploct is an octopus. The Slow Twins and Wooper are in this group, so their poison-type regional forms are too. The same goes for Paldean and Wooper's evolution, Clodsire. There are a bunch of other examples, but let's keep moving forward. I just said Wooper. Okay.
I thought you did that on purpose just to screw with me.
I did, but then I realized that it's supposed to be Wooper, but I'm gonna call it Wooper.
Oh my god. The Water 2 egg group is where you'll find most of the fish Pokemon. Basculin, Wishiwashi, Arrokuda, and so on and so on. There are a handful of exceptions though. Inkay and Malamar are in this group as well, and so is Octillery, although it's worth noting that it evolves from Remoraid. Wailmer, Wailord, Finneas, and Palafin are in this group as well, because I guess whales and dolphins are close enough to fish. Fair enough. There are only 34 Pokemon in this group.
Water 3 is where you'll find most of the fossil Pokemon that can breed, like Cradily, Armaldo, and Archaeops. You'll also find Pokemon based on aquatic invertebrates like Starmie, Kingler, and whatever Wugtrio is supposed to be. This is another small group, only containing 37 Pokemon. Skorupi and Drapion are also in this group, despite not having much to do with water or fossils. In the modern day, scorpions live almost exclusively on land, but there are extinct arthropods called Eurypterids, which are also known as sea scorpions, so Drapion being in a water egg group could be a reference to those guys. Look, you try reading that,
But there are extinct arthropods called Eurypterids, which are also known as sea scorpions. Get dunked on, nerd!
You wrote it.
The bug egg group is pretty straightforward. It includes nearly every bug-type Pokemon in the game. The only exceptions are Anorith and Armaldo, who are in Water 3 instead, Genesect, who's a mythical, and Shedinja, who's in the mineral group. Aside from that, there are a handful of non-bug types that are in this group. Drapion is a poison dark type, but it's in this group because its evolution Skorupi is poison bug instead. The Flygon and Gliscor lines are in this group too, because they're inspired by insects and scorpions respectively.
The flying egg group is pretty simple as well. This is where you'll find most of the breedable flying type Pokemon, as well as some other bird Pokemon like Espathra, Sirfetch'd, and Quaxly. In a similar vein, the grass egg group is the home of most grass type Pokemon, as well as the pure fairy type Comfey. Anyways, it's Haichu time. How many is that now?
Place your bets. How many will Elias eat by the end of this video? Over, under 900.
Why don't we go over, under 9? Over, under 9.5, actually.
The Dragonite group is where you'll find most of the breedable Dragon-type Pokemon. The only ones you won't find here are Cyclizar, Tatsugiri, Alolan Exeggutor, and Ampharos, the latter of which only becomes a Dragon-type upon Mega Evolving. There are also quite a few non-dragon types that are in this group. Horsey, Seadra, Skrelp, Swablu, and Trapinch evolved into dragon types though, so they're in this group with their evolutions.
Another notable Pokemon in the Dragon Egg group is Charizard. It's always been a part of this group, long before it got a Dragon-type Mega Evolution of its own. Dragons and snakes are closely related in mythology, so this is also where you'll find snake Pokemon like Arbok, Seviper, and Sandaconda. It's also the home for lizard and salamander Pokemon like Trico, Heliolisk, Salazzle, and Scrafty. So the Dragon Egg group covers all sorts of reptilian Pokemon, although there's another group full of reptiles we'll be looking at later on. I think we all know what time it is.
Yeah, it's 4:55.
It's 3:54. For me, and it's actually Haichu time.
The Fairy Egg group has always existed, long before the Fairy type was added to the game in Gen 6. This is where you'll find many of the small quote-unquote cute Pokemon, and also Glalie. Hey Elias, what are your thoughts on Glalie?
I don't understand why he's in the Fairy Egg group, but I do like Glalie.
Many Pokemon in this group became Fairy types in Gen 6, like Clefable, Wigglytuff, Mawile, and Granbull. But there are also plenty of non-Fairy types in this group, like Pikachu, Jumpluff, Roserade, and, Phalanx. Yeah, this is one of the weirder groups, but it predates the Fairy type by 4 generations.
The human-like egg group is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. This is where you'll find most of the bipedal Pokemon with arms, like Machop, Armarouge, and Infernape. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we've got the amorphous egg group, which consists mostly of Pokemon with no definitive shape. That includes blobs like Milcery, Swalot, and Muck, and Pokemon with soft bodies like Solosis and Palisand.
The mineral group is for Pokemon that are inorganic in one way or another. That includes Pokemon that are made of rocks, metal, or bread. Hello, Fido. A bunch of rock and steel types are in this group, including Aegislash. I'm not exactly sure how you would mate with a sword, or why they'd have to reproduce in the first place, but sure, why not? Shedinja is in this group as well, despite evolving from Nincada. It's very much an organic Pokemon, just, you know, super dead.
The monster egg group is pretty big, containing 81 Pokemon. These Pokemon don't share that strong of a connection. Most of them are bipedal, but Bastiodon and Venusaur are in the group too. Most of them have prominent tails, and then there's Avalugg. Most of them are based on reptiles in some way, but the male Nidoran line and female Nidoran are also in the monster group. This group is mostly held together by vibes, really.
The biggest egg group of them all is the field group, comprising a whopping 278 Pokemon. This is where you'll find most of the mammal-based Pokemon, although once again there are some exceptions, like Piplup, Fuecoco, and Kecleon. Since this is such a big group, the Pokemon within it have tons of possible breeding partners. One of the most infamous combinations is Skitty being able to breed with Wailord.
Next up is the No Eggs Discovered group. As you can probably guess, this group is for the Pokemon that can't breed at all. This group is full of legendaries, mythicals, except for Manaphy and Phione, Ultra Beasts, Paradox Pokemon, and Baby Pokemon. A handful of other Pokemon can't breed either, so they're in this group too. Nidorina and Nidoqueen can't breed, and in fact their inability to lay eggs was established during Gen 1, before breeding even existed in the games. A Pokemon guidebook was released in 1996, 3 years before Gen 2 came out. In fact, Gen 1 hadn't even been released outside of Japan at that point. The section about Nidorina says that upon evolving from Nidoran, it lost its ability to lay eggs.
Unknown is in this group too, and so are the weird hybrid fossil Pokemon from Sword and Shield. Gimmighoul and Goldango also can't breed. Standard Pikachu and Greninja can breed, but they have forms that are in the No Eggs Discovered group too. You can't breed Cosplay Pikachu, Pikachu in a Cap, or Battle Bond Pikachu. Battle Bond Greninja. The final egg group is... well, not much of a group. The Ditto group only includes one Pokemon. I'll give you 92.5 minutes to guess which one. Time's up, it's Krokorok.
Barely audible incorrect buzzer.
No, it's Ditto. This guy can breed with nearly every Pokemon in the game. The only exceptions are itself and all the Pokemon with no eggs discovered.
Genderless Pokemon can be found in a wide variety of egg groups. Magnezone is in the mineral group, Rotom is in the amorphous, and so on and so on. But since they don't have genders, they can't actually breed with Pokemon within those groups. They're still capable of breeding, but they can only do so with Ditto. So if you want a Beldum or Sinistea egg, Ditto has to be involved.
Alright, now let's talk a little bit about egg moves. Many Pokemon are compatible with certain moves, but you can't teach them directly. But if you breed with another Pokemon that does know it, the baby will be born knowing that move. As an example, Growlithe can't learn Double Kick by level up, but it can learn it as an egg move. So if we breed a female Arcanine with a male Mudsdale that knows Double Kick, the Growlithe that hatches will also know it.
In Gens 2 through 5, only the father can pass down egg moves to the baby, but starting in Gen 6, egg moves can be passed down by either parent. So if you have a female Arcanine that already knows Double Kick, you can breed it with any compatible male Pokemon and the Growlithe will know the move too. Did you know that the average rolling office chair travels 8 miles in any given year?
8 miles. Okay. I need to do the math on this.
Are you trying to figure out how many feet that is per day?
I don't think I move my chair back and forth 115 feet every day. Sometimes it takes more than one step to get the egg move you want, which requires a process known as chain breeding. In Gens 3 through 7, teaching Sceptile the move Crush Claw requires 2 rounds of breeding. Zangoose can learn Crush Claw by level up, and it's in the Field Egg group. But Sceptile isn't in that group, so you have to pass the move down from Zangoose to Rhyhorn first. This guy bridges the gap between the other 2 Pokemon, because it shares the Field Egg group with Zangoose and the Monster group with Sceptile. Once you have a male Rhyhorn that knows Crush Claw, you can breed it with a female Trico, Grovyle, or Sceptile, then evolve the Trico that hatches from the egg. You can also replace the Zangoose at the start of the chain with a Smeargle or Sandslash. Chain breeding can be more complex than that though, because there won't always be a Pokemon that connects the 2 groups you need. There's no Pokemon that's in both Bug and Monster, for example. Even if there is connection, there's no guarantee they can learn the egg move you want.
There's no direct way to teach Heracross Flail in Gen 2, for example. You have to teach it via breeding, and that can take a while. In fact, this breeding chain requires 6 Pokemon. It starts with a Magikarp, who can learn Flail by level up. Then, that Magikarp has to breed with a Kingdra. Then, the resulting Horsea has to breed with Blastoise, followed by Meganium, Parasect, and finally Heracross. All of the intermediate Pokemon are in 2 egg groups, and they can all inherit Flail through breeding.
For more videos like this, subscribe to MEPlaysGames. You can also become a channel member for as low as 99 cents a month. You'll get to watch these regular videos early, and you can also see exclusive content, like our ongoing Let's Play of Pokemon X. Starting in Gen 9, egg moves can be passed along without breeding by using the Mirror Herb, a new item introduced in Scarlet and Violet. But prior to that, there are a bunch of egg moves the Pokemon were programmed to learn, but could never actually receive via breeding. So let's take a look at these impossible moves.
Murkrow is in the Flying Egg group, and in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, it was given Punishment as an egg move. This move starts at 60 base power, but it gets stronger for each stat boost the target has. It maxes out at 200 power, but I digress. The problem is that very few Pokemon in the Flying group can learn Punishment.
Vullaby and Mandibuzz are the only Pokemon in that group with access to this move. They learn Punishment at level 28, so they can pass this move down to a baby Murkrow. Except no, they can't. Vullaby and Mandibuzz are female only, so you can only breed them with a male Murkrow. Since these are just 2 regular Pokemon breeding with each other, the baby species will match the mother, meaning the egg will always be a Vullaby. Since Murkrow isn't in any other egg group, it has no way to get Punishment from another source. The reason that I found, I read that comment about, me sounding like an obese white boy, was because the comment right below that was Elias is a Radiant.
Wow, thank you. I'll see you on stage at the YouTube Awards.
Everybody leave this handsome devil some comments.
Prior to the Mirror Herb being added, male-only Pokemon like Tyrogue couldn't inherit egg moves unless their evolutions have access to them. In Pokemon X and Y, Tyrogue was given Ally Switch, but it has no valid parents to inherit that move from. Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, and Hitmontop can't learn the move, so they can't pass it along to the baby form.
Once again, if you try to breed a Hitmon with a female Pokemon, you'll always get the mother species from the egg instead of a Tyrogue. If these guys had a chance to be female, then they could breed with a male Pokemon that knows Ally Switch, like Alakazam, Hawlucha, or Gallade. But Tyrogue and its funny-looking uncles are out of luck this time around. Ally Switch was removed from their egg move list in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Is it Haichu time?
You can hear that?
No, I was just guessing.
Oh, it is Haichu time, actually. Next up, let's take a look at some Pokemon that can't learn Charm in Gold and Silver. Bulbasaur is in the Monster and Grass egg groups, but it can't inherit Charm from any Pokemon in either group. Female Nidoran can learn the move, and it's in the Monster group, but only male Pokemon can pass down egg moves in Gen 2. There are also no Pokemon in the Grass group that can learn Charm whatsoever, so despite having it as an egg move in Gold and Silver, Bulbasaur can't actually access the move. Oddish is only in the Grass egg group, and Snorlax is only in Monster, and they can't learn Charm for the same reasons.
Unlike the other moves we've talked about so far, all of these Pokemon gain access to Charm later on. Generation 3 introduced a valid breeding chain to obtain this move. Shroomish is in the Grass and Fairy egg groups, and it can inherit Charm from Togetic, Granbull, Delcatty, or Minun. Then a male Shroomish or Breloom can pass the move on to the other Grass types, and in turn, a male Bulbasaur can pass to Snorlax, since they're both in the Monster group.
Later on, all of these Pokemon gained more straightforward methods to inherit Charm through breeding. Cottony was added to the Grass egg group in Gen 5, and it can learn Charm via level up. That means it can pass the move down directly to Bulbasaur and Oddish without doing any of this chain breeding foolishness. As for Snorlax, it can inherit the move from Tyrant and Tyrantrum starting in Gen 6. Charm also became a TM in Gen 8, so there was no need for it to be an egg move anymore. It's Haichu time.
In Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Nosepass was given Head Smash as an egg move. This guy's in the Mineral Egg group, but in Gen 4, no other Pokemon in that group could learn the move. It was added to Nosepass's egg move list once again in Scarlet and Violet though. Sudowoodo can learn Head Smash by level up now, so it can pass the move down to Nosepass.
Lovely Kiss is the signature move of Jinx. In Gold and Silver, its pre-evolution Smoochum is programmed to get Lovely Kiss as an egg move too. But Jinx is female only, so it can't pass down egg moves in those games. Lovely Kiss was given to a handful of Pokemon as an event move, courtesy of the New York Pokemon Center. You're welcome. But none of those Pokemon are the human-like egg group, so they can't give it to Smoochum by breeding with a Jinx. In modern games, this move would be possible now that you can get egg moves from either parent. But Lovely Kiss was never added back to Smoochum's egg move list, so she still can't learn it. In Gold and Silver, Staryu is compatible with Aurora Beam, Barrier, and Supersonic, but it can't inherit egg moves on account of being genderless.
Pokemon in the field egg group can easily access all their egg moves in every game, since Smeargle is in this group. By using a signature move Sketch, a male Smeargle can permanently copy every possible egg move, and pass them down to any eligible Pokemon. The Mirror Herb also eliminated the need for chain breeding, because you can inherit egg moves directly from any other Pokemon now.
Before Gen 6, certain combinations of egg moves were also impossible, since only male Pokemon could pass moves down at the time. So if you wanted your Pokemon to know 2 egg moves, you specifically needed a father that can learn both of them. As an example, Skarmory can learn Drill Peck and Whirlwind as egg moves in Gen 3, but never at the same time. It can inherit Drill Peck from Spearow, Doduo, and their evolutions, and it can get Whirlwind from the Pidgey line. Since none of those Pokemon overlap, no Pokemon were able to pass down both moves. The Skarmory egg would need 3 parents, which is a little bit impossible. So Skarmory had to pick one move or the other.
Fortunately, this is no longer an issue, since Pokemon can also inherit moves from the mother now. Starting in Gen 6, you can breed a male female. Elias just highlighted the word egg. What's that all about, you egg?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Starting in Gen 6, you can breed a male Fearow with a female Skarmory to get Drill Peck. Then if the Skarmory you get from the egg is also female, you can breed it with a male Pidgey off the nose Whirlwind. This time the Skarmory... Elias made the word egg, and only the word egg, 400-point font, and for some reason, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. This time, the Skarmory egg will be born knowing both of the moves you want, because it's getting 1 egg move from each parent.
Well, I tried to make it 550, but I guess the cap is 400.
What are you doing now? Today, Elias will be doing brain surgery.
Yep, it's a good thing I have my, patient, Matt.
Hey! My brain is fine!
Not what my MRI says. Well, it's quite funny. It shows that there's no brain there at all.
Oh, it's gonna be like that, huh? Anyway. Elias, your homework is to watch all 700-something episodes of The Simpsons.
No. Hold on, I'm gonna eat another Haichu, and then you can fire me after that. It's Haichu time. It's Haichu time.
It's Haichu time, isn't it?
No, I'm still eating my other one. It's Haichu time. It's Haichu time. Hey!
Hello, friend. Hi.
Hello?
Hey.
I can hear you again. It's Haichu time.
You're gonna blow your building down. I heard that sneeze.
It's Haichu time.
Welp, that's all we got for today. Leave a comment with any tech support questions you have, and we'll answer them incorrectly. You can also follow us on Twitter, link in the description. Consider becoming a channel member if you'd like to support the show. And as always, shout out to our existing members: Starkid Phil, Lord Matthew, Summon Sloth, Skintist, Victor Manzo, Saphira, Shard the Reladon, Kai the Memer, Elias, Gavin Eric, Patrick Chipman, Kitsday, Catalia, JVGL, Daniel, Too Cute to Be Straight, Toad355, Ethan Parks, and Akruda. We'll see you all next time. Good night, fellas. Sleep well.